What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so Fat Joe, the rap legend Fat Joe, recently appeared on Carmelo Anthony's podcast, 7 p.m. in Brooklyn. Please check out his podcast, by the way. I like Carmelo Anthony. I always thought he got a bad rap as far as his game, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, he appeared on his podcast and gave one of the wildest and most controversial takes I've ever heard. Fat Joe claims that he believes that New York star Karl Anthony Towns, aka Cat, is the best offensive big man that he has ever seen play. And this is what he had to say.
I don't think I've seen a better offensive big man in my life than Cat.
I'm gonna untie my shoe on this one. Get comfy on this one.
I've sat in the game and watched Cat do 10 moves. You cannot know what he's gonna give you. Hit it with the left, hit it with the right, spin on you this way, that way, that way. That's impossible to guard. He's dumb.
So you believe that Cat is the best
Offensively,
ever?
Yes, I'm talking about Elijah Wan. Shaq is the most dominant big man, but he ain't doing.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying I want people to hear your take on it.
My take is he's too hard to guard. If he was the rucker, they would call him too hard to guard. Your little jab step, they know what you're gonna do. They're mad because they can't stop it. I watched the guy do 10 of those moves, and I was like, holy shit. I'm telling you, this guy's special.
I do agree with Cat being one of the most versatile bigs.
Who's better than him right now as a bigger man?
Only one is Jokic.
He's just more accomplished. I'm a Joker fan too. I went up on ESPN and told him Joker would be the MVP. Everybody looked at me like I was dumb. He won the MVP. The thing that makes Joker special is he does everything your coach told you not to do.
He's unorthodox.
I love the fact that we're actually talking about Cat in this regard.
We've been down this road before, okay? By that I mean we've been down this road as far as arguing a guy's skill set versus results or productivity, okay? From a skills perspective, Karl Anthony Towns is phenomenal from a skills perspective, right? Me personally, and that's if you consider Cat a center. But if you're going to go with him being a center, which generally he has been, although he doesn't play in the prototypical manner that I think of centers, you know what I'm saying? But if you're going to call him a center, I think he's the best three-point shooting center I've ever seen in my life. And the best shooting center I've ever seen. Yes. For his career, he shoots 52.4% from the floor. He shoots 40% from three. This year, he's shooting about 53% from the floor, shooting about 45% from three. He's averaging about, I think, 25 points and 13.6 rebounds per game. For his career, he averages 23 points, 11 rebounds a night. During the regular season, Karl Anthony Towns is a great, great player. You can't deny that. The guy has 2 career 60-point games. Now, does he benefit from the era that he plays in? Absolutely. But he's definitely a great player. The problem I have with Karl Anthony Towns, and ain't even the fact that he doesn't have hardware, because he's still a young guy, okay? Although he's not as young as he once was, but he's still young. And I get that he played in Minnesota. The teams weren't really good for the most part. It's the production, man. When you are regular season, when you're basically doing uh, basically a Mongol Slade impersonation at the center position, where you're putting up all these historical numbers during the regular season, but during the postseason, you just tend to not show up. You know, uh, I'm looking at his career numbers in the postseason. In 32 games, 18.8 points, 10.2 rebounds, 46.8% shooting, 35% from 3-point range. Now, look, for any all-star center, those numbers, especially if they was playing in like the 90s and 2000s, those would be great numbers. But it's so much easier for a guy that's a superstar to score, considering the cat's 7 feet tall, about 250. Um, in this offensive friendly era, I've just seen way too many games where Cat didn't show up. And I like Cat. I do. I like him. I think he has great potential. But he's been wildly inconsistent during the postseason. And there have been series where I'm not going to say he got shut down, but there have been series where he just been wildly inconsistent. And there's been games where he didn't show up. And he's like, well, damn, where is that? Where is this great shooting? Like on a per game nightly basis, yes, the numbers are great. But then when you ask Cat in a specific game to show up against a marquee team or to perform against a marquee team, then the performances become more missed than hit. You know what I'm saying? And look, let's just look at his career accomplishments for a second. I know that he won a 3-point contest, the only center to win it. Now I know people are like, wait a minute, Dirk won it, but Dirk is a power forward. Let me see. So Karl Anthony Towns won the 2022 3-point contest. He's a 4-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA third team. He's not even an All-NBA first team guy or second team. He was Rookie of the Year in 2015-16, rookie team. And that's it. Doesn't have enough accolades, in my opinion, man, to even warrant that. I think if I was Fat Joe, I would say he has the potential to be the greatest. He's definitely the best 3-point shooting guy I've ever seen. Now, as far as moves and all of that, man, some of that you got to attribute to the way the game is played. You can't expect centers from the 60s and 70s and 80s when the big man played totally different. And even when a guy, you know what I'm saying, that was a center that had skills that we only see in guards, well, those guys weren't even thought of to even be point centers. I mean, that just didn't exist. And plus, you know what I'm saying, some of the things these guys are able to do from an offensive start point as far as going into their offensive moves, players in the past couldn't even do. They couldn't even they really weren't even allowed to do certain things with the ball these guys were able to do. And big men were supposed to play like big men. So my thing is this: when I look at offense as far as the center is considered, or as the center is concerned, I look at domination. Okay? As much as I might criticize Jokic about little things, Cat ain't even in the same ballpark as Jokic. You know what I'm saying? Not even the same ballpark as Nikola Jokic. The guy won a championship, and in the postseason, Nikola Jokic has dominated. He's having a historic season. So to even anoint Cat that is honestly disrespectful to Jokic at this point. Jokic is about to become the third player, in the history of the NBA to average a triple-double for a season. Okay, and he's doing it at the center position. Now, it does give him an advantage to be a center as far as rebounds, and I do think Russ's feats were more impressive, in my opinion. But still, the fact that this guy's going to be the third player to average a triple-double for a season, and a monster triple-double at that, just barely behind Giannis and winning as far as the scoring championship is concerned. Nah, he's not even better than Jokic. And to me, it's hard to put Cat ahead of guys like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who has, to this day, in my opinion, the most unstoppable shot in the history of the NBA, the skyhook. No matter how much you want to talk about, oh, he's robotic and he didn't have all the – no, I don't give a crap about any of that stuff, man. He had the most unstoppable shot in the NBA to the point where into his early 40s, he was still an effective player because they couldn't stop that. The guy competed against and dominated against something around 35% of the history of the NBA as far as players for 20 years. Then you got Will Chamberlain, who put up absolute ridiculous numbers. And he didn't just put up numbers. He dwarfed the numbers that Cat put up. Numbers that we're never going to see again in the history of the NBA. You're not going to see a guy have 122, including the playoffs, career 50-point games. You're not going to see a guy have 45 50-point games in one season like he did in 1961-62 season. You're not going to see a guy have career averages of 30 points and 23 rebounds. You're not going to see a guy have a season where he averaged 50 points and 25 rebounds, or 37 points and 27 rebounds like he did his rookie years. You're just not going to see that. You're not going to see a guy like Moses Malone, who's the greatest offensive rebounder of all time. That's part of the offense too. Getting offensive rebounds, give your team another possession. Moses Malone, when you include the ABA, 29,580 career points, 17,000 plus rebounds when you include the ABA. Dude's phenomenal. 3 league MVPs, and his name don't even come up in these conversations. Shaquille O'Neal, the most dominant player in the modern era outside of Will Chamberlain, in my opinion. Come on, man. What are we doing here? Hakeem Olajuwon, an absolute beast on the defensive end, absolute beast on the offensive end, unselfish. You know what I'm saying? And we saw hints and glimmers of what Hakeem could do as far as guard play, the way he can handle the ball, the way he was, dribbling between the legs and crossing over cats at the center position when he was able to do a little bit of what he was doing. Imagine if Hakeem Olajuwon was playing today when he could have had the offense running through him. You know what I'm saying? And he wasn't that shabby a passer. He wasn't on those guys' level today like a Jokic, but the guy could, that was an underrated part of his game. No, man, that's bull, man. At the end of the day, it's poppycock, but you can't put Cat in the same conversation with these guys, man. He got to accomplish more. Hell, I don't think he's the greatest player as far as a Knick is concerned, being a New York Knick. I'm talking about as a Knick, not as a player, as a Knick. Well, honestly, I don't even know about as a player. He's not even the greatest number 32. I'm not going to put him ahead of Jerry Lucas. Jerry Lucas won a championship as a New York Knick. Jerry Lucas averaged 20 rebounds a game. I think he's the only white guy in the history of the NBA to average 20 rebounds in a season. Not trying to make about race, but hey, that's something, right? Rick Barry's the only white guy that averaged over 35 points a night. But anyway, I want to put him ahead of Jerry Lucas as a New York Knick. Nah, bro, you're in New York now. You can't just be putting up numbers. You got to deliver. New York Knicks basketball ain't about putting up numbers. You could have did that in Minnesota. It's about winning. You know what I'm saying? You want to be put on the level of those guys, at least go to an NBA Finals. And then we can entertain this conversation more seriously. At least that's just my opinion, at least. So anyway, tell me what you guys think.